it's time for everybody's hump day tradition, everyone's favorite hump day tradition. It's the Takeoff, where we are joined in studio by Jared Carrabis. It is such a pleasure to have you here once again. How are you doing today?
It's such a pleasure to just look at you.
It's a pleasure to look at you more.
It's a pleasure to be around you and feel your ambiance.
Yeah, I bring in that energy. What I do is I, put you and the company on my back like JanSport. The Red Sox do. Can we start with them, please? Because they just went 8-2 out on this West Coast trip. Are you still not saying it?
I'm not saying it. They should have went 9-1. I'm not going to get picky here, but they should have went 9-1.
Sounds like you're getting picky.
I am getting a little bit picky, a little bit, but they should have gone 9-1. I went back and looked at some of these other West Coast trips. This might have been the best West Coast trip in my lifetime. And it came in a season where they started off 9 games under 500, so it's not the team that you would have expected to go 8-2. 9-1 with an asterisk on a West Coast trip, but they got the job done. They're playing better baseball, Emerson.
Okay, yes, they are. And we also know that Rafael Devers, we learned Rafael Devers really loves ice cream, as every 13-year-old major leaguer does. Like, is there anything that you don't like about this kid? He's amazing.
No, I mean, the fact that it was a crowning achievement for us with the nickname Rafi Big Scoops. Like, that came about in 2018. Yeah. We've never seen him actually eat ice cream until that series clincher in Seattle.
Funny,
that was amazing. I mean, he can do no wrong. He's our young son, Rafi Devers. And, I look at that. If I'm Chaim Bloom, like, we got to pay this guy. What are we doing?
Yeah.
You got to pay this guy.
He and Xanders, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you had to pick between one or the other,
for sure,
it's an interesting discussion.
You go
pick
with the younger
Rafi.
Kid.
You go Rafi, but they have the ability to pay both, which is why it's so frustrating that neither of them have long-term contracts here in Boston.
How frustrating is it that, like, the Red Sox seem to be turning it around? They're winning games, they're eating ice cream, they're having fun, but the Yankees continue to win games as well. What is it, 9-1 over that same 10-game stretch? I don't know. Is everything going to keep going right for New York?
Here's my take.
What is it?
I want you to pay attention.
All right.
Because there's a lot of people that may have messed this up in the past. Winning the division is for losers.
Interesting.
Winning the division is not.
So you'd be upset if the Red Sox won the division?
Yeah, I would be. After last year,
get out of here.
Last year, 2021, the Red Sox played in the wild card game. That was awesome. You want to talk about the takeoff? That was awesome. You start Game 7. That's the first game that you play in the postseason. Fenway was rocking. It was the loudest.
That was sick. I was there.
Listen,
I was there, and I saw
want to play in the wild card game every year. You're a loser if you win the division. Because if you you got to buy, cool, dude. That's sick. Guess what? We're going to play in the wild card game. I'm stoked for that.
There's not just a one-off wild card game anymore, is there?
It's a series, yeah.
Okay, it's a series.
Yeah,
so you still want them in like a wild card
series?
Instead of them making this epic comeback mid-season and overtaking the Yankees.
You're going to freeze the kicker? You want a bye week? You kidding me? Do you think that is conducive to success, is sitting around while everyone else gets hot? No.
You do see that in baseball a lot.
You
Team
do?
wins that wild card game.
Colorado Rockies 2007.
Yeah.
They swept their way to the World Series. The Red Sox played best of 7, and they went to a 7th game against Cleveland. They rolled into the World Series hot, and they steamrolled the Rockies. They had won 21 of 23 to that point. Guess what?
What?
They just sat around for 13 days when it was snowing in Colorado. Guess what? The Red Sox, this team, they're going to be going red hot into that division series.
So, you don't want to win the division, because if you win the division, you're a loser.
Correct.
And kind of speaking of that loser mentality, not according to me, but to a lot of White Sox fans,
Correct.
Tony La Russa's made some interesting decisions lately.
He has.
What are your thoughts on Tony? Because, man, he's raising eyebrows constantly.
We love Tony. It's a great bit. You got Trey Turner. It's a 1-2 count. Put him on. Put him on first base. I love it. It was a great call. Just didn't work out. You got Max Muncy. He just got called up from AAA. I think he had a walk-off homer with I don't even know what their AAA team is, but I think it's just the AAA Dodgers.
Yeah.
Just hit a walk-off home run in the minors. He's coming out. He's pissed off. You want to walk Trey Turner to get to me? It's a walk. No, it wasn't a walk-off. It was just a homer.
Yeah, it was a 3-run tater.
3-run tater. And you know what? I love the move. It fires up the boys.
Yeah, it fires up the fans. They're
fires
chanting,
up the boys.
Fire Tony, fire Tony.
Joe Madden intentionally walked a guy that made no sense earlier in the season, and I get it. Yeah, maybe long-term it didn't work out. He's now fired, but the Angels went on a little bit of a run there. Now you have a situation with the Chicago White Sox where they won last night. Lance Lynn screaming in the dugout. He's pissed off at the bench coach. Guess what? They won the ball game.
Okay.
You got to fire up the
So
boys.
you're Team Tony, not Team White Sox fans. You probably don't want Tony around anymore.
I'm team fire up the boys. And it worked.
You want to know who's fired up right now?
Who?
Like golfers. People in the golf world. And I'm
Uh-huh.
going to talk to you about this because I know you're going to be at our Adidas event tonight at the Lincoln in Southie, getting ready to kick off the big Millie Maker here for the U.S. Open. But there's a lot of memes out there because I know you're a wrestling guy. A lot of memes of the guys who went to the Live Tour and they're like, memed as NWO guys.
Mm-hmm.
So we also know that there's a guy like Draymond Green.
Yes.
He's a heel,
Mm-hmm.
in the playoffs. Who, I guess, in your opinion, who is the heel in baseball? Are there multiple heels? Who are they? And do you think baseball needs more of these guys? Guys, the one you love to hate.
Yeah, I mean, there's less and less of that now. I think with social media presence and everything, like everyone wants to have a brand and everyone wants to be liked. It's not like old school where guys want to get hated. Carlos Correa is probably the answer to the question, but now that he's not in the Astros, he's not. I mean, he still gets booed. Like he was getting booed very loudly last night in Seattle. But now that he's with the Twins, it takes some of the steam out of the whole heel aspect because before it's like I'm wearing the Houston Astros jersey. You hate the jersey, you hate the player. Now it's like you just kind of like hate the guy because he's a little cocky and he was yapping a bit after the whole scandal thing happened. Now it's just like I mean, there's no like Manny Machado has kind of cooled down with the whole like snapping people's Achilles tendons thing that he was doing for a little bit. Like that's not a thing anymore. There's no like true heel in baseball.
All right. Because there's some of the younger guys, maybe like depending on which generation you talk to, like maybe some of the older baseball fans, older generation of baseball fans don't really like guys like a Tatis and some of these other ones that have like a personality that they love to like pimp. So I guess is that the closest thing you're going to get to a heel in baseball? Or these dudes who just
those are the baby faces. That like Fernando Tatis Jr. is like the Attitude Era Rock.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, if you're an old school wrestling fan, you're like, what's this guy coming out here in this silky shirt and he's got the sunglasses on and he's got all these catchphrases. It's like, that's not Bruno Sammartino. That's not what I remember back in my day. That's not a champion with class, but it's what the people want. So he's like the anti-hero in a way.
All right. Well, you're a hero to a lot of people watching right now.
Thank you.
The reason we call this segment the Takeoff is because we need your hot take for baseball this week, which is what?
I don't even know if I feel like every time that we do this segment, I'm like, it's a hot take, but I don't even know if it's really that hot anymore.
Let's see. Maybe it's spicy.
It's gonna make people upset. It's gonna make people upset.
I think you've already said something that made people upset, especially Red Sox fans. Don't win the division. If you do, you're a loser. But what is it now?
I think Red Sox fans are gonna love that take. That's a great take.
All right.
Let's take that take to the bank
debatable.
first and foremost. The take that I have this week, the Atlanta Braves are gonna win the NL East.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
I
know
lost one of their best players, too.
Ozzie Albies broke his foot.
And you offered up your foot
Offered up my foot.
You're that good of a human being.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the game of baseball. Love the game of baseball, and I can't have a team that's winning 12 straight games, lose one of their best players, take my foot. Like, what am I doing? I'm just sitting at home watching baseball. I'm not playing baseball. I don't need my foot. But I have the Atlanta Braves overcoming the New York Mets, and that's not really a knock on the Mets so much as you sort of like look what's happening with that team. The injuries are mounting, and the Phillies are playing good ball. The Braves haven't lost a game in 2 weeks. I don't know. And the Mets are the Mets. I wanted to believe, and I even tweeted this. I was like, this Mets team is different because it felt different. And now some of those vibes of the old school, like, these are the Mets, and like bad things happen to the Mets. Bad things. I mean,
everyone just kind of waits for it for the Mets to do that Mets thing. And implode.
And it's sort of happening. It's been more of like a death by 1,000 paper cuts versus just like one big blow to the head.
Yep.
I think the Atlanta Braves are playing the baseball that we thought that they were going to be playing all along. They had that team meeting being like, hey, let's put last year to bed. And ever since then, they pretty much haven't lost a game.
And then on one of your podcasts recently, like you opened up like the phone lines, right? To I think the Phillies fans.
Every time we open up the phone lines, the manager gets fired. So we might do that with the White Sox next.
Okay. Yeah. After you already talked about how much you love Tony La Russa.
I personally don't want to see any manager get fired. Joe Girardi, we opened up the phone lines to the Phillies fans. Joe Girardi got fired the next day. But we opened them to the Angels fans. Joe Madden gets fired the next day.
But what I'm also saying is like with the Phillies fans, you opened up the phone lines to them, and then like they went on that 9-game like win streak or whatever. So like you have this magic touch, And that's why we bring you on here every Wednesday
It's
for
a
the
gift and a
Takeoff.
curse.